It is April 22nd, 2026, right around 4:23 in the morning,
So definitely pitch black out.
pitch black, freezing cold, and there is a man just casually scrolling right down the center lane of State Road 64 in Wisconsin,
Right down the middle of the highway.
right down the center line, and he is wearing absolutely nothing but a pair of shorts and a brown hoodie.
Jeez, that is quite the visual.
It really is. So a deputy pulls up, offers him a ride, drops him off at a nearby house, and just, logs the encounter. There's no sirens, no arrest.
The guy in shorts wandering in the dark, documented for the public record.
Exactly. Welcome to the deep dive. Grab a cup of coffee. We are leaning right over the fence today.
Oh, I am ready. It really paints a picture, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
a completely surreal moment, quietly filed away in the county archives.
It does. Today we are cracking open a glorious stack of sources. We've got the official police and sheriff's dispatch reports from late April 2026, specifically focusing on Langlade County, Wisconsin.
A goldmine of local behavior.
Truly. And for you listening right now, if you ever drive through, you'll want to sound like a local. Oh, let me just give you the quick pronunciation guide.
Oh, yeah, highly necessary.
Right. It's Antigo, pronounced Andogo. You kind of swallow that T. And then the town of Elto, which is El Seo.
Indigo and Elcock.
Got it. Perfect. So our mission today is to extract the absolute best local tea from these dispatch logs. We aren't using any names, we aren't giving exact house numbers, but we are diving right into the factual, spicy drama of daily life.
Which is great, but before we go any further, we should probably establish what a police blotter actually is because, well, it's a fascinating administrative tool.
Yeah, break that down for us.
So a blotter is essentially a chronological log of every single event that a police department or sheriff's office responds to. It dates all the way back to English common law.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, it's built on this premise that a community has a fundamental right to know exactly what its armed agents are doing on any given day.
I love that. And, when you look at a major city's blotter, you expect high-stakes drama, car chases, burglaries, whatever. But when you step into the world of rural county dispatch logs, that Hollywood script just gets thrown right out the window.
Completely out the
It
window.
becomes this hyper-detailed landscape of human behavior.
Exactly. I like to think of the dispatch center as a town's nervous system. The 911 calls and non-emergency reports, they're basically sensory inputs.
Like the town feeling its surrounding.
Right. Some are actual pain signals, like real emergencies.
Yeah.
But many of them are just phantom itches. The dispatcher, acting as the brain, still has to process every single itch to make sure the body is safe.
Which brings us to a massive phantom itch on Dorr Street. This is late afternoon, April 21st. Dispatch gets a 911 call.
Okay.
But nobody is screaming. It's an open line. A pocket dial.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The dispatcher is just sitting there listening to a blender running in the background and a highly passionate, very intense discussion taking place.
Let me guess. A heated debate over, like, a property line.
Yeah.
Or a tractor.
Ice cream flavors.
Wait, what?
Ice cream flavors. The dispatcher literally documented in the official county log that they were listening to a debate about making brown sugar, chocolate, cheesecake, and lemon ice cream.
That is incredible. They just sat there listening to this.
They did. So, okay, let's unpack this. Imagine your inner foodie monologue being accidentally broadcast to the entire town's emergency response system.
It's hilarious.
Right. You've got this high-stress 911 center ready to deploy ambulances, and instead they get a culinary masterclass. I mean, aren't these calls just a massive waste of police time? Why wouldn't a dispatcher just hang up the second they realize it's a recipe debate?
Well, what's fascinating here is how that nervous system actually functions. Dispatchers are heavily trained to listen for ambient stress markers.
Okay, so like tone of voice.
Yes, exactly. An intense debate about cheesecake ice cream might initially sound like an escalating domestic argument if you can't quite make out the specific word.
Oh, sure, just the yelling.
Right. They cannot legally or ethically disconnect until they have absolutely ruled out distress. It's a huge deployment of cognitive resources for a dessert, but it proves the system is working.
And it shows how incredibly sensitive that system is, too, because just a bit earlier that same day, over on Superior Street, someone is out for an evening walk and calls dispatch to report a quote-unquote strong smell of gas in the area.
Okay, a potential leak. That's serious.
You'd think so. A deputy rolls out, sniffs the air, and notes in the log, and I love this so much. Didn't smell any natural gas. Someone was grilling a couple houses to the north. It was maybe that.
They deployed a Scrad car for a barbecue.
A barbecue. Someone was just making dinner, and their neighbor thought the town was about to explode.
This perfectly illustrates a sociological concept we could call the paradox of rural peace.
Oh, I like that. The paradox of rural peace. What is that?
It's the idea that the lower a community's actual crime rate is, the lower its threshold for perceived threats becomes.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, in a bustling city, a weird smell or a loud noise is just filtered out as background data. But when a community's baseline is absolute safety and quiet, the threat response system becomes hypersensitive.
So a grill becomes a gas leak.
Exactly. The local environment is so pristine that a neighbor firing up a charcoal grill registers as an anomaly requiring professional investigation.
It's like a completely silent room where a pin drop sounds like a gunshot.
That is a great way to put it.
Yeah.
A community that calls in a barbecue as a potential gas leak is a community that is deeply, deeply paying attention to its surroundings.
Well, wait, let me push back on that idea for a second, because you're saying they're this deeply connected, attentive community. But if we look at how they handle their neighbors' animals, it doesn't look like connection at all. It actually looks like a total breakdown of social trust.
Ah, you're referring to the agricultural disputes.
I am absolutely referring to the farmyard fugitives. Let's talk about the escaping goats on County Road D.
A classic.
This is a multi-day ordeal. A caller reports the neighbor's goats are in their yard. The deputy actually has to call the goat owner and tell him to keep his livestock contained.
Standard protocol.
Right, but the caller specifically notes to dispatch that the owner does have a fence, but, and I quote, it only keeps the cows in.
Well, goats are notorious escape artists. I mean, they treat cow fences like jungle gyms.
They really do. So the owner promises to build a better fence, but 2 days later, dispatch gets another call. The goats are back.
Of course they are.
And it's not just goats. On North Rollwood Road, we have pigs running loose in a yard. The pig owner comes over, apologizes, rounds up the pigs, but the caller still demands that a deputy come out to the scene.
See, they wanted an official administrative record of the trespassing swine, just in case.
Maybe. But the absolute peak of this is in the town of Evergreen. The local town chairman, an elected official, mind you, gets a complaint that a resident's chickens are wandering onto a neighbor's property.
Okay, pretty standard rural issue.
Right. But the chairman absolutely refuses to go talk to the chicken owner himself. He calls dispatch and requests a deputy go do his dirty work instead.
He delegated a chicken dispute to armed law enforcement.
Yes. It's like a corporate manager delegating the most ridiculous, awkward task to a wildly overqualified employee.
It really is.
So back to my point, you say this is a tight-knit community paying close attention. Isn't calling a deputy on a guy whose chickens cross the property line the exact opposite of tight-knit? Why won't these people just knock on the neighbor's door and say, hey, your Rhode Island Reds are in my petunias?
That is a brilliant question. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it actually reveals a lot about the sociology of conflict avoidance in small towns.
Really? How so?
Well, you might think small towns are full of people solving problems over the fence, but the reality is that social capital is extremely fragile.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, if you yell at your neighbor about his chickens, you still have to see him at the grocery store, at the post office, and at local council meetings for the next 20 years.
Oh, wow. So confronting them directly creates this permanent, unavoidable social awkwardness.
Precisely. By outsourcing the conflict to a deputy, the complaining neighbor protects their social relationship. The deputy becomes the bad guy.
That is fascinating.
Rural law enforcement acts as a buffer for social trust. They're essentially doing agricultural mediation to prevent generational feuds from starting over a wandering goat.
I never thought about it that way. The deputy is just the designated villain so the neighbors can keep waving at each other in traffic.
Exactly right.
Speaking of animals, we cannot forget the missing dog report on Superior Street.
Yeah.
White dog, black collar. Do you know the identifying feature given to dispatch?
Tell me.
The dog has a, quote, mohawk on top of head.
A punk rock dog loose in Langlade County. I really hope they found him.
Same. But while the animals are refusing to respect property boundaries, the humans are using the back roads to leave behind some very strange mysteries.
The liminal spaces of the county, those transition zones that belong to everyone and no one.
Right. Out on Flak Road near the tower, a caller reports seeing something suspicious on the east side of the road. A deputy goes to investigate and finds a pair of women's pants.
Just pants.
Just pants, but the pants are turned inside out, and left inside them are a pair of underwear and some socks. The deputy dutifully collected it all to throw away, noting it, quote, appears to have been dumped.
That is a highly specific, very weird arrangement of clothing to just abandoned on a rural shoulder.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting to me. I keep picturing an alien abduction where the tractor beam only wanted the bottom half of the outfit.
That's certainly one theory.
But how does that even happen? How do you step out of your pants, leaving your socks and underwear perfectly nested inside them, and just walk away into the ether?
It's one of those minor rural mysteries.
Mhm.
But notice the administrative response here. The deputy didn't just ignore it. They documented the exact condition of the clothing and disposed of it.
Yeah, why bother logging that?
Because if a missing persons case suddenly opens up the next day, that seemingly mundane log entry becomes a critical piece of a forensic timeline.
Oh, of course. Which perfectly explains another bizarre dispatch from the intersection of Mapleview Road and Hillside Road. A dramatic call comes in for a, quote, roadblocked situation.
Now, when you hear roadblocked, what do you picture?
I don't know, a downed oak tree. Maybe a jackknifed semi-truck. A sinkhole.
Right, something requiring heavy machinery.
Exactly. So a deputy rushes out to secure the scene, and the dispatcher updates the log. The road is blocked by aluminum cans.
Wait, cans.
Quote, cans all over the road, the caller said. The deputy arrives, surveys the devastation, and reports back, couple of cans on the field, roadway clear.
This raises an important question, right? We are back to the paradox of rural peace.
Oh, absolutely.
When the baseline is a spotless, empty road, a few stray aluminum cans blowing across the asphalt trigger a full emergency infrastructure response.
Yeah.
It shows how beautifully predictable life usually is there. Anything slightly out of place is front-page blotter news.
But wait, let's look at a similar call on State Road 64. A deputy spots a delivery truck stopped on the shoulder. The driver had left his clipboard full of paperwork resting on his flatbed. He drove off, the clipboard went flying, and the deputy just sat there watching as this guy frantically ran along the ditch, grabbing his scattered paperwork out of the wind.
Oh gosh, we've all had those nightmare moments at work.
We really have. So the log reads, driver collected paperwork and is on his way. Now, why does that need to be logged? I get why you log the pants, just in case of a crime.
Yeah.
But a guy chasing his own invoices, why put that in the permanent public record?
Civil liability and timeline establishment.
Really? For some paper?
Think about it. Let's say that delivery driver missed a piece of paper. 10 minutes later, another driver swerves to avoid that paper, crashes into a ditch, and sues the county for an unsafe roadway.
Oh, wow.
The county can pull that exact dispatch log and say, at 2:14 p.m., we documented the source of the debris and the responsible party was on the scene. The blotter isn't just a list of crimes. It's a legally binding timeline of reality.
That makes so much sense. They're establishing a baseline of facts for the day.
Exactly.
And if you think the back roads require a lot of documentation, wait until you see the digital boundaries back in town. Because when people in this community get mad at each other, they get incredibly creatively petty.
Ah, the interpersonal disputes. This is where the real complexity of modern small-town life shows up.
Oh, absolutely. There's a harassment complaint on Claremont Street. Someone called the police because a person they were feuding with went on Facebook and posted a screenshot of CCCAP.
For listeners who might not be familiar with Wisconsin's legal infrastructure, we should definitely explain what CCCAP is. It stands for the Consolidated Court Automation Programs.
Which sounds boring, but it's basically the Netflix of Wisconsin gossip. It is the ultimate digital weapon in a local feud.
It really is. Wisconsin has one of the most accessible, transparent public court record systems in the entire country.
Yeah, anything you do is on there.
Right. If you get a speeding ticket, if a bank forecloses on your house, or if you go through a messy civil suit, it is instantly searchable by anyone with an internet connection.
So this person's screenshots their enemy's CTAP record, posts it on Facebook, tells everyone to share it, and declares the person, quote, the world's biggest piece of shoot who should rot where they belong.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Well, what's fascinating here is the collision of public information and private harassment.
Right, because the poster didn't technically do anything illegal.
In fact, they just shared a public record.
But they weaponized the town's administrative transparency to destroy someone's reputation in the digital town square. And the police are somehow expected to fix it, just like they were expected to fix a romantic dispute out on State Road 64.
Oh, boy.
Mhm.
What happened out on 64?
A domestic civil complaint. A couple is breaking up, tensions are incredibly high, and the girlfriend realizes she has the ultimate leverage.
Which is?
She takes his cell phone and holds it hostage. Not because she bought it, but simply because the family cell phone plan is in her name.
The customer service terms and conditions being used as a legal hostage strategy. That is a new one.
It's genius in a petty way. She is basically saying, I am the account administrator, therefore I am legally confiscating your device. And the boyfriend literally calls the sheriff's office because his ex is using Verizon billing policies to take his phone.
Incredible.
Think about the family plan you share with your spouse or kids right now. Imagine that completely mundane contract suddenly turning into a police matter. So what does this all mean? How on earth is a deputy supposed to solve a cell phone family plan dispute?
Well, how did the deputy handle T-Mobile contract mediation?
The deputy called one party, left a voicemail for the other, and had to negotiate a peaceful surrender of the device. Why are armed officers dealing with family data plans?
Because if they don't, someone is going to kick down a door to get their iPhone back.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
In rural counties, law enforcement operates primarily as civil mediators, couples counselors, IT support.
Mm.
Nobody's going to prison over a shared data plan.
Why?
But if emotions escalate, a civil disagreement easily turns into a criminal act, like assault or breaking and entering. By stepping into the middle of a petty squabble, the deputy verbally de-escalates the situation before a real crime even occurs.
They are the ultimate circuit breakers for adults acting poorly.
Precisely. Sometimes people just need an objective authority figure to show up and say, enough, and over the phone.
Which brings us to the grand finale of local drama. A gentleman shows up in person at the safety building lobby on County Road G.
Okay, an in-person report.
Walks right up to the desk to report a massive unfolding cybercrime. He claims that he's about to have $250 million deposited into his bank account.
$250 million, sure.
Yes. And he is absolutely convinced that his ex-wife is currently plotting to hack into his account to steal the $250 million.
Wow. That is a highly complex financial delusion to bring to the dispatch window on a random afternoon.
It is. But look at how the dispatcher handles it. They don't laugh him out of lobby. They formally log it. Quote, subject claims $250 million deposit imminent. Fears ex-wife's cyber attack.
Which goes right back to our nervous system analogy.
Exactly.
Even if the sensory input is a complete delusion, the brain has to process it, document it, and file it away peacefully.
They really do treat it all with this remarkable stoic patience. You know, as we wrap up this deep dive, I am just marveling at the incredible, wonderfully weird tapestry of Langlade County.
It's truly unique.
From the cheesecake ice cream debates to the outsourced chicken diplomacy, the inside-out pants, and the weaponized Facebook court records.
It just proves that a community's character isn't defined by massive, headline-grabbing events. It's defined by its minor inconveniences.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's defined by how residents rely on each other and how heavily they lean on their local deputies to lubricate the friction of daily life.
Which brings us to our official moral of the week. Are you ready?
Oh, I am ready. Let's hear it.
Good fences make good neighbors, but only if they keep the goats in, and always, always lock your phone screen before you passionately debate dessert recipes.
Very practical words to live by.
Truly. So I want to leave you, our listener, with the final provocative thought to ponder today. Think about your own neighborhood right now.
Okay.
If a dispatcher released a public log of your street's activities this week, how would you show up in that blotter? Would you be the hypervigilant neighbor calling in a barbecue as a municipal disaster?
Ooh.
Or would you be the guy walking down the middle of the highway in shorts and a hoodie at 4 a.m.? Think about it. We'll see you next time.